Hi guys, my name is Asirvo and it is me answering 100 questions that I know that married people ask themselves. The question I want to answer today is actually a very straightforward question, but it is actually very sensitive. What's the question? I noticed that my husband doesn't express love to me, or I don't feel loved in my marriage. What do you think I should do? Now, I know that there are many books people might have read. There are books, especially this popular book that talks about the five love languages. And one of the things I know about it is that communication is key in any relationship, not only marriage. Communication is key. Now, the first thing to do is not to start acting estranged or isolate yourself from the situation. Now, what I would do is, if I were you, what can I do to solve this problem? I don't feel loved. The first thing to do is to first ask questions. Sit down and communicate. If your husband will be willing to sit and discuss or conversate about it, sit him down and say, we want to talk. Now ask him or let him know your feelings. Let him know how you feel. That maybe he could be thinking he's expressing his love to you in a way that you are not understanding, or that you don't get to understand, or you are the one not getting that is expressing his love. So when you sit down and communicate and talk about it together, he probably will get to understand what you're trying to say, or how best he can express his love to you. So one of the things you should do, if I were you, is to communicate. Sit down and let's communicate about it. Is there a love language that you understand better, or that you interpret better, that you think he should, or that should be the way he should express his love to you? That is what you should bring to the table and discuss with him. And then if he wants the marriage to work and is reasonable about it, then fine, he will have actually made an headway or solved the problem. Most times the challenges in most marriages is about communication. Communication and ego. I understand that sometimes there's an euphoria with not being married yet, and then you're dating or you're courting. The guy wants to please you, wants to make you feel that you're on top of the world, you are the most special thing that has ever happened to me. And he takes you out, he opens the door for you, he opens the car door for you. When you're going into a restaurant, he wants to open the door, he wants to hold your bag. He does so many romantic things to you. He wants to take you to places. You guys have night out, you catch up with friends, all of those things. You eat out, you go to the beach and the likes, and he's ready to send you a message. Even while you're sitting in his front, he's sending you a message that I love you, like the way you see it, all of those things, and you feel that everything will be all romance all through the marriage. And then you get married and you realize that those things change. Then it looks like he used that thing to win your heart or to get you caged into marriage. Sometimes that is not the issue. Sometimes it is because there is a communication lapse. So that's why I said you can actually sit down and talk about it. Another thing is this: it could be that he could be facing pressure, maybe pressure at work, maybe meeting financial needs, or there's somebody in his family that is going through an ordeal or an health challenge, and then the challenge or the burden is upon him, and so many things or things like that can distract him. Imagine a guy you're married to and they give him a target that he has to meet up to maybe 2 million in a month, or reach about 5 million in a month, and then he just eats about 3 million, and he knows that if he doesn't eat the 5 million, they will deduct from his salary, or there'll be a warning that he could probably be sacked. That type of person might not start thinking about how to express love to his wife at first. So if I were you, sitting down will make you understand why he's not doing it, or how best he can do it. I've said it before. Perhaps he thinks he's expressing it in a way that you don't like, or it's not your love language. But when you sit down together and you talk about it, yes, you find solutions to that. And then if it's a challenge at work or a health challenge, if you sit down also, you can communicate and talk about it. And I'm not going to exempt the fact that sometimes men actually get into marriages with women by endearing them, enchanting them with things that they will not continually do in the relationship. So that's why I always advise: if you go into a relationship that looks like it's going to become a marriage, don't rush it. People say that because God has chosen a man for you, you can get to know him in 2 months, you can get to know him in 1 month, and you're married. I'm not of that school of thought. I feel that you should try and give it time. 6 months, the minimal 6 months, so that at least some of the character traits or behavior traits that you might not be okay with, you start noticing them before you guys get married. There's nothing wrong with dating or courting for 6 months or for a year. It helps you, it exposes you to the person actually. Even we as humans, we don't get to know ourselves entirely. It's always dependent on as we evolve, as we go through life, or the challenges we face, and we start wondering, oh, I can do this or I can do that. So we don't get to know a person absolutely, but at least in 6 to 12 months, you get to know certain behavior in a person. I wrote a note on my Facebook sometimes ago. I titled it, "The Signs Are Always There." And then in that note, I addressed the fact that there are subtle things the person does that get you to know that, okay, this is a character trait in this person. There are subtle things this person does that you know that it's a behavioral pattern. And then it will be like a red sign or a green flag for you to know that if I should go ahead or proceed. So all of those things, when you date, it's not just about going out to eat, going out to cruise. You also observe. The reason you go out to have nice time together is also to observe. Observe the silent gestures, observe how he treats people, observe the way he talks with his bosses or his friends or somebody who is lesser to him or lower to him in status. All of this will give you signs to know that, okay, this guy can actually is going to express this love he has for me for a long time. It's going to be genuine. I understand that men can caress the ego of women with all of these niceties and all of these lofty feeling and fantasies, and then you get into the marriage, the thing changes. Now, if the case is that the guy actually changed, and he changed entirely, or he changed completely from what you know him to be, I would advise that you pray. Pray, because if his heart is genuine, if he genuinely loves you and something changed him, if you pray for him, I always believe that prayer changes things. If you pray for him, it's going to change. If truly his heart is genuine, even though that it was abracadabra, like he just wanted to have you as a conquest or have you as a trophy, it was genuine and something actually changed. If you start praying for him, he will change. So I've mentioned two things here. You should engage in communication, and then you should pray for him. The thought in, if extremely it is the case that the guy has actually totally changed, or that is who he is, he only pretended, babe, and you enter the marriage. I'm sorry I said that, but babe, now you enter the marriage. Now, two things you go do. If you go feel bear and say, okay, no wahala, to love me, or they express the love. Sorry I spoke in pidgin, that if he's not going to express the love and it's caring, but it's not going to be expressing the love, he's taking care of the family. If you're going to be fine with that, fine. But if you think you cannot be fine with that, the other option is to actually seek a divorce. And although there are many schools of thought that do not believe that divorce is the last option. They say that men can come around. Well, if you can cope with it, stay. But if you cannot cope with it, then go ahead with your divorce. But you must understand that you have to consider all the consequences if you want to stay or you want to divorce. You have to consider the consequences that follows with divorcing, and consider the consequences that stays with you remaining in the marriage. So all of these things, at the end, now you get that life. At the end, now you live the life. Not be the person really advise you. Not be the person some people will give you that advice because of their own bad experiences. But you know the reality. If you face yourself and face your reality, you know what you should actually do. So what I will tell you is this. Think about it. If you stay and you can bear it, think about it if you choose to divorce. If I've answered your question, you can chat me up on Facebook, on Instagram, or on any of my social media platforms. Till I come your way again.